Hey guys, welcome to Tickzon Mentorship Scheme, where we try to turn our hindsight into your foresight. Now, if I know it's an unprecedented time, but if you are sick or if any of your family members are sick, my heart and my prayers goes out to them, and we pray that hopefully they'll all become well, and hopefully you're staying safe as well. It's important. So straight into it. I understand that with the uncertainty of what's going on in terms of the virus, there's people who've lost jobs or lost income streams or lost bookings or are going to be going towards financial hardship, which can make it that after this period of time that it can be really hard for you to get back afloat. So here I'm trying to let you know about hindsight turning into foresight, about the things that are out there right now to help you survive this in the best and smoothest way possible. Now, we're going to speak about this in two aspects. We're going to speak about one in terms of debts, in terms of like regular payments aspects that you have, and two in terms of schemes that are out there in order to get money into your pocket to help you stay afloat during this period of time. So thank you for tuning in. Now, in terms of debt, just to let you know, to preface, you have to contact them. So even though these things are out there, if you just assume because you've heard it in the news that it applies to you, you have to physically call or apply online for all these things to apply for your situation. So first of all, we're going to talk about mortgage holidays. Now, what are these? These are essentially, you can go to your bank or building society and apply for a payment holiday for the next 3 months. I think some of them is a maximum of 3 months. For some of them, they may be able to extend it. They've been charged by the FCA to give this allowance to people. What will happen is that for the next 3 months, you won't have to pay your mortgage. What will happen is that the 3 months that they're taking out will now be added to the remainder of your mortgage term. So if you had a year left on your mortgage and they take 3 months out of 3 months to not pay, then they will take the that 3 months and they'll divide it over the remaining 9 months, and then your mortgage payments will go up after this period of time. Understand that both for mortgages and other things, they may still be charging you interest during this period of time. So, but if you do need to do the payment holiday, do it. If your income has not been affected, it might be worth continue paying it. Now, going along with the payment holidays, credit cards, store cards, personal loans, or any of these forms of credit, you are allowed to ask for a payment holiday, but and a lot of them have been charged to give payment holidays for 3 months as well, in similar fashion to the mortgage holidays. Again, you have to contact your credit card. You have to contact the person who provided your personal loan and get that arranged and agreed with them. This won't just apply automatically to your situation, and then they'll maybe add a payment plan we put into place, or they'll delay payments. For credit cards, you won't be asked to pay. If you get a payment holiday similar to the mortgage, you won't be asked to pay a minimum payment or minimum requirement per month, but they will still be charging you interest over the next few months. Some of them won't, so check with your provider of your credit card. In the description below, for everything we talk about in this video, there will be extra information for you to do, where to apply, who to talk to, etc. So we're really trying to make sure that this helps you guys out. Now, the next thing in terms of debts that we're going to speak about is overdrafts. Now, if you are living your overdraft, I don't believe this applies to students because your student accounts are already on 0%. If you saw our video earlier on where we spoke about how your overdraft is going to change come April, well, it's changed now. So it's now, instead of it being like a flat fee of 1p or 50p a day, or £10 if you go over, now it's an interest charge. So couldn't have been any of the worst time for it to come, but it's here now. So basically what means is that on average, most of them are like 40%, so basically making your overdrafts worse than credit cards. But if you contact your bank, for majority of them, they will make the first £500 0% interest for the next 3 months. And if you are beyond that, in terms of if you're already like £1,000 into your overdraft and you've been living your overdraft, call your bank and try to get something sorted out. Now, for some banks, they may apply this automatically to everybody across the board, but for majority of them, you may actually have to call them in for that to be applied to you, especially if the virus has affected your situation. So if you do need that, do that. Now, another thing in terms of debt, go through all your subscriptions, go through all your direct debits and cancel anything that you don't need. put a pause on anything you don't need. You can call them and just cancel and say, okay, for some providers, they will put your payments on pause. So similar to like gym memberships and stuff like that, they may put a pause. For some of them, you can just cancel and then come back again after this thing all passes by. Now, for your information, and for any of the payment holidays that you take, either it's for your mortgage, for your credit card, for a personal loan, for a store card, a catalog option, or anything that you've put on finance, it will not affect your credit score for the 3 months that it's going to be on. So if you do get a payment holiday, for some of them you might not get up to the for some of them you might not get up to 3 months, but you have to call and negotiate. But for them you have to call and negotiate, because for some of them it will be dependent on your credit score. But understand, the best thing you can do for all your debts is to call your provider, especially when it comes to like banks, credit cards, and all these guys. Especially the banks, they're supposed to be seen helping you get through. Even before this happens, they're not supposed to be allowed to help just put you in financial hardship. So when it comes to utilities, your bills, etc., all of those things, still call all of them if you are struggling. If you can pay regularly, it might benefit you just to pay it off regularly and then just get through this gingerly and finally, especially within your credit cards. If you have an overdraft, if you have £500 to £500 0% interest, it may be an opportunity for you to either pay down your overdraft or try to get out of it slowly but surely, as well as your credit card. Even if you make a plan with them, if you can overpay, please overpay, because they will still be charging you interest. In terms of schemes out there to help you out, to kick us off, if you have contracted the virus and you are self-isolating, then you are entitled to statutory sick pay, provided that you are either working on full-time work and averaging £120 per week, and then the statutory pay is about 93 to 95 pounds per week. You apply through the government website, and that goes backdated from your first 14 days. If you have been fired or lost your job and you also have less than £16,000 in savings, then you are also qualified for universal credit. Now, the other two main schemes out there that are trying to help people is one, the coronavirus job retention scheme, which is basically about being furloughed. Furlough basically means that you are technically employed at the same time, but not employed at the same time, if that makes sense. So essentially, you'll be employed by your company, but for the period of which you're furloughed, you are not allowed to work for the company. It's just for you to have your regular income in there to keep you afloat in handling your bills and handling everything. If you've lost your job or you've left your job, you can get rehired to your job to be furloughed. And that is provided you were at that job after February the 28th. So if you left the job on March 1st or March 2nd, then you can be rehired. Even if your contract ended, they are allowed to rehire you and then go to the government and say, we want to furlough this person. Now they'll judge how much you'll be furloughed based on your February payslip. This is provided you on PAYE. So it'll be based on your February payslip, and they'll either give you up to 80% of your wages, or up to 2,500 if you're earning exceedingly over. If your 80% is over 2,500, they'll give you 2,500. Now this income is still taxable income, so it will be your post-tax money that will be 80%, not pre-tax money. So if you have lost your job, then you can be furloughed. The furlough scheme right now is for March, April, May, and may get extended. So that is a good way of doing it. If you don't know about it, or you've been let go from your job, or you're not working at this point in time, even if you're doing freelancing, even if you're a freelancer and you're getting paid by different payees, different payees, you can go to all of them to ask them, and the employer themselves have to go. Whoever's handling the payroll has to now apply to the government for that to come to you. You can't really do it by yourself. The reason being is because, you know, if you were earning £1,500 per month all these months, and technically you've been living on these past few months, then they wouldn't just come randomly and just give you 2,500. So it's based on that pay slip that they will now base how much they will give you. So being furloughed is essentially being on the books of a company for them to let you basically be paid. All the money is coming from the government, so it doesn't affect the company anyway anyhow. All the company has to do is just go and require it. So if you've contract finished in March or in beginning of April, new tax year, I know some people may have lost their jobs or they may have moved on and can't find work at this point in time. It is okay and it is fine for you to go back to your previous point of employment to ask them to help you out and put you through this period. While you're furloughed, you are allowed to seek secondary employment, although check, because some people's employments you would have to get permission if you are from the company that you are maybe being furloughed by to do that, because for some people you can't have two jobs at the same time. You can't also, the company you're being furloughed for, so example, if I was working for BBC, if I was furloughed by BBC, I'm not allowed to do BBC work while I'm on furlough. The government this is all about you staying afloat and getting through this period of time. Speak to your employer, speak to them. There'll be more information in the description below. The last scheme we'll be speaking about is for those who are self-employed, which is called the self-employed income support scheme. If you're self-employed, similar to being furloughed on the coronavirus jobs retention scheme, you will be entitled up to 80% or up to £2,500 per month. Now since you're self-employed, they're not going to go off of your February, they're not going to go off by your February pay slip, etc., because yours is obviously different. What they're going to go by is your last 3 tax year, like the average or mean of the profits you made over the last 3 tax years. So that being 16, 17, 17, 18, 18, 19. They won't include this 19, 20, I believe. It's basically the last 3 tax years that you filed for, not for this year. Your last 3 tax years, they'll average out the mean of your profits, and they'll basically they'll give you a quarter of that. So for the next 3 months, March, April, May, they'll basically pay out the average of your profits, and if that goes up to 80% of whatever that was per month, if they average it for a year, or whatever, or up to 2,500 if you made significantly more. So for example, if you declared an average of £30,000 over the last 3 tax years, then you'll be getting up to either 80% of, that'll be up to 2,500 per month, but you'll probably be getting 80% of that. So the difference between the self-employed income support scheme and the coronavirus job retention scheme, in which this is self-employed and that being the normal payee employee being furloughed, is that for the self-employed, you're not going to get your money straight away. The earliest you'll probably be getting this money will be around early June, and it will come as a lump sum. Now HMRC should have contacted majority of those who are self-employed. If you haven't been contacted, then you need to contact them yourself. If you do not qualify for, you're not eligible for this if you make less than half of your income. So some people are self-employed and also on a payee system. So if you make less than half of your income from being self-employed, or less than 50,000, but if you make less than half of your income from being self-employed, then you don't qualify for the self-employment income support scheme. If you're half payee, half self-employed, you can go to all those people. Even if you work for 5 different companies, you can go to them and ask to be furloughed. One of them can agree. There is some templates and some of the links below about what your employer can do, and it's just about the payroll team contacting the government. You can't yourself go to the government and say this is my pay slip, and then they'll pay you. No, because what will happen is that the government will give the money so for those being furloughed, the government will give the money to the business towards the payroll, and they'll pay you normally to your account as they usually do. So you get paid the same day, and you get paid the same amount, well, 80% of the amount you're getting paid in February. So to quickly recap, if you have any debts that you don't need to be using right now, cancel them. Subscriptions, direct debits that are going to unknown places. You can pause a lot of your payments with like gym and just things that you're not using at this point in time. This will be a good time to cut down things in your budget. If you have an overdraft, you should be getting up to £500 interest free, which is just basically fee free for the first £500 of your overdraft. Contact your bank. If you're deeper in your overdraft, contact your bank to arrange a way so that you don't end up out of this period of time worse financially off. Credit cards, mortgages, personal loans, store cards, catalogs, finance stuff are all been asked to provide payment holidays, but you have to contact them for this to happen. So if your parents are struggling, please let them know that there's something called a payment holiday, because even though a lot of people know, a lot of people don't know, and they'll still be getting charged normally because the bank isn't going to tell you, oh hey, you should take a payment holiday. Some of them, if you're getting your emails, you're checking your emails and stuff like that, they'll let you know. Don't forget, if you're self-isolating, you can get statutory sick pay. Obviously, you can be furloughed by your company. If there's no work for you to do, you can't do work for your company while you're being furloughed. You can also apply for universal credit if you don't apply for any of those other things, and if you're self-employed, or if you're struggling and you know, but even if you're self-employed and you don't have enough savings to get through this period of time, or you're just struggling in terms of hardship, there's a lot of hardship funds and a lot of things out there that you can also apply for, whether it's loans, etc. And a lot of government stuff that are out there. So we put a lot of things in the description below. So even if you're okay, make sure everyone around you is okay. If you don't understand what furlough is, ask any questions, we will answer it. But there will be definitely a lot of things in the links below for you to find out that information, universal credit, all of that. And yeah, guys, more importantly, stay safe and take care of your loved ones. I hope everyone's good. Take care and have a blessed day. Thank you. Bye.